Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m., General Jodl, the representative of the German High Command, and of Grand Admiral Dönitz, the designated head of the German state, signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Forces and simultaneously to the Soviet High Command.
During the war, German towns had been reduced to rubble, destroyed by the Allies' bombs. Many Germans were left homeless, with the country in ruins. The Allies had no clear idea during and immediately after the war concerning what should be done with defeated Germany. The superpowers' control over 1945 to 1949 Germany impacted civilian life, while igniting geopolitical tensions leading to the beginning of the divided Cold War. This resulted in the Western German states' ability to thrive under the heat of this war. The Yalta and Potsdam conferences were called and attended by the Allies. These conferences were held in order to address the current German problem. Yalta was the major pre-surrendering conference. It was attended by President Roosevelt, Prime Minister Churchill, and Generalissimo Stalin at Yalta on February 3rd to 11th, 1945. It was agreed that the forces of the three powers should each occupy a separate zone of Germany. France would later join in. First, immediate steps would be taken to achieve German disarmament and demilitarization. Plus, the Allies would implement control over their industry, which would prevent Germany's ability to make war again. Second, there would be a destruction of all NSDAP along with its affiliated organizations, resulting in the abolition of Nazism and their laws. Third, the Allies would punish any German individuals involved in war crimes.
The privilege of opening the first trial in history for crimes against the peace of the world.
These were only a select few of the agreements declared at the Potsdam Conference. The Allies' main goals for society was to reorganize the justice system to the principles of democracy, giving equal rights to all citizens without the distinction of race, nationality, and religion. Germany was divided into 4 zones: a Soviet, British, American, and French zone, plus a divided Berlin. Germany was to be treated as a single economic unit, and common policies were to be made applicable in all zones. There was to be an equitable distribution of essential commodities in all zones. This would enable Germany to become a self-supporting land, which would eventually be able to pay off the reparations they owed. It was essential that Germany take part in the restoration and stability, for without a stable Europe, lasting peace was impossible. After World War II, Britain and France had become weakened. Britain was the first to offer America its zone in Germany, creating Bizonia. France was next, turning Bizonia into Trizonia. The conversion of the 3 zones was made so that it could survive on its own. Trizonia formed a strong bond. They feared communism and its effects. This created tensions among Stalin and the Soviets. The goal of the European Recovery Program, also referred to as ERP, was for Germany to become self-supporting and responsible. In June 1947, Secretary Marshall offered financial assistance to the countries of Europe willing to cooperate in the common good. This became known as the Marshall Plan. It was based on free capital and private economics. The ERP amounted to $12 billion. West Germany, Britain, and France all received over $3 billion. This economic aid would prove to be helpful in getting these Western Allied countries back on their feet. This neutralized the fear of them falling to communism. The Marshall Plan aided all these countries, but in doing so, it furthered the heated tensions between America and the Soviet Union, for the ERP was linked to capitalism and private enterprise. So in July 1947, the Soviets retaliated. They believed that the ERP threatened Soviet communism. In Paris, Molotov, the Soviet Minister of Foreign Affairs, rejected the ERP for the Soviet Union and all its satellite countries. Instead, the Molotov Plan was created. It emerged in 1949, It was the Soviet version of the Marshall Plan, helping all their satellite states. The impacts of the Marshall Plan on Germany were numerous. Germany was given the opportunity to participate in international endeavors. This gave Germany a chance to rebuild and start over within their 0 hour. West Germany had an economic miracle, for the American zone had 43 manufacturing plants and over 100 additional establishments in France and Britain. The production of the Volkswagen played a large role in providing the West with financial stability. This automobile became very popular very fast all around the Western world. With this economic boom, the currency reforms had heavily impacted the permanent divide between the Eastern and Western German zones. On June 20th, 1948, the old Reichsmark was made valueless in the three Western zones and replaced by the Deutschmark. This stabilized currency and prevented inflation among German masses. The success of the European Recovery Program and the planned formation of West German government led to the Soviet blockade of Berlin, a ruthless attempt to use starvation to drive out Western powers, thus recreating in Europe the fear which favored communist expansion. On March 31st, 1948, the Soviet military administration issued an order which prevented the movement of military passenger planes across the border en route to Berlin. Then, on June 24th, all rail traffic between Western zones and Berlin stopped. Soviets said there were technical difficulties. Soon, these difficulties extended to highways, and by August 4th, the blockade by land and water was complete. The airlifts became the one supply line linking to the Western world. The airlift brought food, clothing, coal, raw materials, and machines to the 2,500,000 men, women, and children. Airplanes delivered 13,000 tons daily to 3 airports. The airlift prevented the blockade from accomplishing its purpose. The people of Berlin were outraged at this act of communism, becoming allies in the fight to defend freedom and democracy against the evils of communism. From these tensions, Germany was officially founded into the two Cold War German states that would last for the next 42 years. The American West Germany was formed in May, while the Soviet East Germany was declared in October of 1949, only a few months after. This divide furthered the worldly impacts of the Cold War, which Germany, as a state, was surrounded in. These tensions were ignited in Germany and heated up this Cold War world.